Hi, my name's Joe Brewer, and I want to share a story with you. Several years ago, I set out to study the cognitive and behavioral sciences with the goal of trying to understand large-scale human behavior to address the global sustainability crisis. Something that I learned along the way was that it's very difficult to get people in key decision-making positions to recognize the importance of this problem or to see that the solution actually exists. So here's my story. I was an atmospheric scientist 6 years ago when I started to really dig into the deep systemic problems that were causing climate change and global ecological decline. I realized that having another scientist studying this problem wasn't really going to solve it, that the deeper or more fundamental issues reside in the social norms and values that drive large-scale human behavior and the incentive structures of our institutions, such as corporations, that put the wrong set of priorities in play, such as near-term profits without recognizing long-term systemic risks, and that actually we have to change human behavior. So I started studying cognitive sciences. By this I mean neuroscience, psychology, linguistics, anthropology, and a host of related fields to try to understand how human behavior works and what we need to do to change the stories that drive our culture around growth, consumption, engagement, and a whole host of other things. And what I found was that this knowledge, while incredibly important and absolutely essential for solving the deep systemic problems of sustainability, were really difficult to get recognized, prioritized, and funded by advocacy efforts in the sustainability realm. Now, why is that? It turns out that one of the fundamental issues that we're grappling with in dealing with sustainability is a question of what it means to be human. There are a lot of speculations, a lot of assumptions about what it means to be human that go way back in our philosophic history. And many of those assumptions, it turns out, are not grounded in truth, they're not grounded in a fundamental understanding of how human beings work, and furthermore, they're deeply tied to our sense of identity of who we are and what it means to be a good person. So for example, if you study cognitive neuroscience, which is this field of research that looks at the processing of information in the brain and the exchanges of chemicals through hormones in the brain that shape our emotional responses and how we think about and understand the world, you learn that most of what we consider to be the underlying drivers of human behavior happen outside of conscious awareness and are largely shaped by what are considered to be non-rational driving forces. So what this means is that the way we make decisions is not a process of logical deduction based on facts that we see in the world, but it's more about implicit beliefs, values, judgments that are strongly emotionally driven and deeply culturally contingent. In other words, they're about who we think we are and what it means to make good decisions. So to go into a room where there are a set of experts who believe that they have an understanding of the facts, that they have an understanding of the problems and the solutions, and to convey to them that those understandings are not grounded in rational deductive logic, but in fact are shaped by preconceived notions, implicit value judgments, and strong social emotional ties to identity, is a deeply threatening proposition. So one of the major barriers to understanding and applying insights like these from the cognitive sciences is that people in decision-making positions have to understand that their own ways of thinking could be biased and could be inhibiting them from making effective decisions. In other words, their sense of free will and autonomous freedom to make decisions is fundamentally threatened and potentially unviable. That's a pretty scary thing to grapple with. So it's been very difficult to get people to understand the importance of these insights and to apply them effectively in creating viable solutions.